setting up the PowerPoint. Thank you for having me this evening. Good evening to all of you. Yeah, I'm pretty loud as it is, but but I will go ahead and use this. Okay. So, some of the questions that I am going to try to answer tonight. What do the standards address? When will the standards be fully implemented in Miami-Dade County and in the state? What is the challenge for our ELLs? How will those Common Core standards affect students, teachers, and our community? And what are some strategies that our teachers can use to teach these standards? First of all, why do we use Common Core? Why Common Core? The Common Core state standards were developed to ensure that all students are college and career ready in literacy by the end of high school. They were led by the Council of Chief State School Officers and by the National Governors Association, and they're research and evidence-based. This is the website that, because of time constraints, I won't take you to, but if I have time, I'll show you a snapshot of it. That is the website, www.corestandards.org, where all of the Common Core standards are housed, all right? Especially the ones for English language arts that impact our students. So what do the standards address? Well, the standards address English language arts and literacy in the content areas, that is history, social studies, science, and technical subjects. The Common Core standards are divided in two major strands, the standards for literacy, K through 5, and 6th grade through college and career readiness, beyond high school. And the standards are divided into reading, literary reading and informational reading, writing, speaking and listening, and language. Speaking and listening and language are two strands that the Next Generation Sunshine State Standards did not really address in isolation like these standards do. They're more targeted. And there's a big, strong emphasis on increasing the text complexity. These standards are not mandating curriculum. They are just expectations of what students should be able to do at certain grade levels, but they are not mandating curriculum. One of the major shifts in the standards from the Next Generation Sunshine State Standards and the Common Core is the rigor and text complexity, and also the emphasis on evidence-based. The questions that the students have to answer always have to be supported by evidence. The other big shift is in the writing. No longer are the writing going to be prompt writing. It's going to be authentic writing experience, writing in response to text. That's a big shift from what we have been doing in Florida with the type of Florida FCAT writing that our students have been doing for the past probably 20 years. So this is the implementation plan that the state of Florida has put out. Starting with phase 1, which was in 2011-2012, there was a full implementation of grades K through 1. Now in Miami-Dade County, we started the implementation in phase 1, K through, actually the Florida was K, and in Dade County was K through 1. And of course, it began the implementation of the literacy standards in the content area and the text complexity. In phase 2, which was last year, the state started implementing kindergarten through 1st grade. In Miami-Dade County, we did kindergarten through 2nd grade. And again, the same thing, there was full implementation of the literacy standards for the content area and the complexity in the text. This year, we are on phase 3. So in phase 3, full implementation across the state, Miami-Dade County also, K through 2nd, and there is a blended curriculum implementation in 3rd through 12th grade because our students are still taking the FCAT this year. So we need to make sure that they're ready to take the FCAT and to keep teaching to those Next Generation Sunshine State standards, but at the same time, we have to get them ready. You have to get them ready for Common Core, which is phase 4, which is next year, and that's full implementation in Common Core, and the students will be taking an assessment aligned to those Common Core standards. We're not quite sure right now what that assessment is going to be, but the state of Florida will be addressing that shortly. So what about our ELLs? How do we support them? Teachers have to be aware when they're planning their instructional practices that they have to keep these considerations in mind when they work with our ELLs. First of all, they have to know what the student's native language is. That doesn't mean they have to speak it, but they have to know what the student's native language is. They also have to know what level of that native language they have in their literacy skills. They have to see how literate they are in first language. They also have to know the level of their English language literacy skills. Where are they? Are they beginners? Are they intermediate? Are they advanced? They also have to know the length of time their family has been in the United States. That's very important. What about the previous schooling experience? How familiar are they with school routines in the United States that might be different from their routines in their native country? What about the background? What content area background knowledge do they possess? And of course, the parental education and how are the parents involved. This is critical. If a teacher does not take these criteria into consideration, it's very difficult to plan and support our students. Here are some statistics and support. In the state of Florida, 250,000 K-12 students are categorized ELLs. That's 1 in 5 students that are Florida Public School students K-12 in the state of Florida. In Miami-Dade County, 71,000 students K-12 are ELLs. That's almost 20% of our school population in Miami-Dade County. As you know, the 1990 consent decree requires equal and comprehensible, let me read it right from here. I'm sorry, I can't see very well from far.
You understand?
Yes, you know how that happens sometimes. I just want to make sure I read it correctly. It requires equal and comprehensible instruction appropriate to English proficiency, academic achievement, and their special needs. The English Language Arts Common Core requires rigorous grade-level expectations in the areas of speaking, listening, reading, and writing to prepare all students to be college and career ready, and that includes our ELLs. So they do take our ELLs into consideration. What do we know? We know that ELLs need access to well-prepared and qualified teachers, support personnel, and school administrators in order to meet these high academic standards. So, beginning in the summer of 2011, until the present time, in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, we have trained approximately 850 ELL teachers in the Common Core standards. This is an ongoing professional development model. In other words, we continue to train teachers, but at the same time, we don't train teachers and just leave them alone. We go into the classrooms and we support them in the training that they have received to make sure they're implementing the best practices and the strategies they received, and that if they have any questions, we're there to address them. Because the bottom line is we want to make sure that they are meeting the needs of our students. And if we're not there, it's not a one-shot deal. We have to constantly make sure that they're being monitored. So, what does research say about our ELLs? ELLs should not be removed from the challenges presented in the standards, but rather supported in meeting these standards. That's a key word. ELLs can meaningfully participate in instruction even though their language might not be perfect. And I'm a product of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I was an ESOL student, and again, I didn't start with perfect language, but somehow or other, I got there. And instruction must build on the student's first language and address those resources of background knowledge, their interests, their motivation, and all of them in precisely in order to expand on them. All right? I'm almost done. Yes, almost done. And the last one, instruction must immerse students in meaning-making language and literacy activities in both micro and macro and scaffolding. And the scaffolding is the key. All right? Because that's what we keep telling our teachers, support. And that's our contact information, so I did pretty well. It's hard to keep me to 5 minutes, very hard.
Very hard, I know.
Thank you.
We know that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Plasencia. Thank you very much.